From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, December 25th, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.38 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,076 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $458. Antiwar.com reports, backed by U.S. airstrikes, the Kurdish YPG is making new gains in northern Syria, part of an offensive they believe will ultimately put them on the outskirts of the Islamic State capital city of Raqqa. Right now, however, the focus is on a pair of important Euphrates River dams. The closer of the two is Tishreen, which is just 20 kilometers from the YPG forces. If they take that, it's just a stone's throw to the even bigger Bath Dam, which includes a power plant which supplies much of northern Syria, including virtually all of the Islamic State's caliphate. In the past 2 days, the YPG fighters captured 3 villages, and they say they believe they will make further advances along the riverfront in the coming days. The wild card in all of this will be Turkey, as they have met previous YPG gains against the Islamic State with harsh condemnation and threats of military action, believing the U.S. is making a mistake in allowing the Kurds to take over the Islamic State territory.
For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
UPI reports the top law enforcement officer in Illinois has barred fantasy football sites DraftKings and FanDuel from collecting money from residents there because she says the operations amount to gambling, which is illegal in that state. After an investigation, Illinois Attorney General Lisa Madigan concluded that paying money to play fantasy football with the hope of winning cash prizes meets the definition of gambling under state law. DraftKings and FanDuel, which have each been investigated in recent months over allegations of insider information, have repeatedly claimed their operations are protected by a 2006 federal law that exempts fantasy sports from a law barring wagers from being processed online. Madigan, however, disagrees with the interpretation of the law. She notes that both fantasy leagues even state on their websites that their games are not available to residents in states that have laws prohibiting gambling. In her conclusion, Madigan also noted there is currently legislation in the Illinois General Assembly that seeks to exempt fantasy sports sites from the state's ban on gambling. Because the proposed legislation is not yet law, Madigan said daily fantasy sports sites constitute illegal gambling under Illinois law. Madigan's conclusion is another blow to the New York and Boston-based websites, which have been trying to fend off multiple legal challenges for weeks.
In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake Security Company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
Reuters reports several hundred protesters against police killings marched on Thursday along Chicago's Michigan Avenue, also called the Magnificent Mile, calling for Mayor Rahm Emanuel to step down and aiming to disrupt Christmas shopping in a glittering upscale commercial area. The demonstration was mostly peaceful, however, police scuffled with a few dozen protesters who were trying to block the entrance to an H&M store and to obstruct traffic both ways on Michigan Avenue. During the march, protesters chanted 16 shots and to cover up, protesting the year-long delay in bringing murder charges against police officer Jason Van Dyke, who, according to video footage of the incident, shot and killed Laquan McDonald in October 2014 as the teenager walked away from police. Police killings have sparked protests in some U.S. cities over the last year and a half. Black Lives Matter, a loosely organized movement involved in many protests over race and policing issues, is calling the demonstrations Black Christmas. Also on Thursday, dozens of protesters marched into San Francisco's City Hall over the police killing of a man earlier this month, demanding the firing of the city's police chief. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.